You ever stare at your task list and think, they are all important, but I still can't move? Today I'll show you the exact moment I stopped lying to myself about what really matters and how a simple multiplier changed everything. Before and after the team, I've always had a lot of things on my list that I'm like, I need to get this done. And they all feel, some of them don't feel such high priority, but most of them feel high priority. And this is not because everything specifically is. It's just I have so many ideas, so many things that come at me every single day. If you're anything like me, you're continuously innovating, you're continuously building. And so what we know for sure, is that whenever we solve a problem, the next problem will present itself. So you'll forever be solving problems. That's just the reality. And with that, if you solve multiple problems on a day-to-day basis, multiple solutions multiple problems that weren't there before that open up. And so you can see how this flywheel continues to go and go and go. And they all look great. They all look amazing, okay? But you have to pick and focus. And you're like, okay, which one do I go after? Which one do I eat? Which one do I just say, let's let it be? And so you have the deep priorities, right? The things that you really care about. And then you have the other things that I'd like to call obligations and deadlines. And you can technically have an obligation and deadline crossed together. Those are the worst. But obligations are things that you've agreed to. You're like, okay, someone's like, hey, can you get that to me? And you're like, yeah, sure, I got you. Cool, no worries. Don't think anything about it. That's an obligation that you've now set to do. It's so far low on your list as far as like change the fucking planet, but it's still there. And it's an obligation that'll continue to nag and nag and nag, and it's still on the list. And you can't cross it off the list because you said you were going to do it. You could, but you still said you were going to do it. And then you have a deadline, like for instance, tomorrow, it's technically a deadline / obligation, but we'll just hit a deadline real quick. You have a bill due, right? Bill is due. That's a deadline. You have to pay that, right? And so you have those nagging deadlines that are there, and then you have like an obligation / deadline. And some of these obligations are things that you love, right? Those are the best, right? Those are the things that you're actually wanting to put your energy toward. So for instance, tomorrow is one of my kiddos' graduations or whatever for the school year. And so that's an obligation because, Dad said he's going to be there, obviously. And then it's a deadline because it happens on a specific day. And so you get this list of deep work that continues to build and build of things that you want to do and pursue, right? And then you also have like your obligations and your deadlines. And then you also have the other dumb shit that's just there that other people kind of want you to do. You haven't even said yes to or not, but it's just there. And so this is a massive list of things. And this is where I've been for a long time. Usually, my way of working, I don't know if I recommend it specifically, or at least how I have worked in the past. It's like, I'll just let all the other things just kind of sit, and I'll just be like, I'm going to work on what I love, what I want. And then those other things come back and remind me and bite me in the ass, and then like I got to suffer the consequences from it. So I was there. I felt busy all the time. And I don't want to say nothing meaningful was moving forward. It's just when you're spread so thin, right? When you are trying to chip off the block off of all these things, it feels as though you're putting in so much work, but you're not actually, that you can move much faster. That you can make much more momentum. So I had no clear priority for what to say no to. And I thought I did. That was the tricky part, right? I was like, okay, these deep focus things, yes. But by me actually saying yes to all the deep focus things, one of the deep focus things could not be the priority. And then the same thing with obligations. You just like, the more things that we bring into our lives, the more that we have to maintain. It's a flywheel. And I thought, the true to the team thing, right? So I'll give you an example. The team thing, with me building out a team, the overall premise, the thought there was, okay, I read a couple books. I said, okay, I'm going to buy back my time. And I made a video about this, couple videos about this, which, by the way, all these things work, okay? This is not, they don't work, but they're a little more nuanced than they seem. And without that knowledge, you may actually find yourself in the trap that I found myself in. So I've read all these books about being able to buy back your time, which, by the way, huge proponent, I'm huge about buying back your time and leveraging your time. And I think it was Dan Martell's book. Pretty much, the premise is you allocate, let's just say that you work and you make, let's say, $40 an hour. The idea is that you can then, instead of doing the tasks that you're already doing that aren't actually generating revenue or the highest important, you can then pay somebody else $10 an hour to do those tasks. And then you can continue to work on this other side. And it makes sense. It seems as though you hand someone this, I go do the things I care about, and so therefore I continue to get to do more and more bigger, deep work that brings in more revenue, while the obligation I still have, get passed to other people, and they're getting paid too. They feel good, great. But what the catch is when you decide to employ a team, you need a way, one, to be able to communicate what needs to be done to them. And you might think that this is simple. You're like, okay, just go do that thing. But many people have subjective views about what done is or how to do something. And if you need it back a certain way, then now all of a sudden you have to learn how to communicate to people about what you need. And that's a task in itself, truly. It really is. And so that was something that I learned. I thought I was pretty good at communicating what I needed, but apparently I wasn't. So I ended up having to figure out and learn. Another problem opened up. Learn how to build winning checklist. Okay. Beauty about a winning checklist, subnote, whatever, is that the client comes at you and says, I need X, right? And then you think you hear X of what they said, but truly a lot of times you hear Y. And so instead, when you make a winning checklist, you say, okay, these are the things that make this a win, and you give it back to them. And they're like, no, that's not exactly what I'm thinking. I want it a little bit like this, okay? And then you clarify again and bring it back to them and say, okay, this is what it looks like, checklist, boom. If you don't, you're going to get yourself in a lot of just back and forth telephone. So they confirm and say, yes, this checklist right here. And now that you have this checklist of boop, 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 exactly what that is. Not, hey, get me a brochure, but brochure is this, boom, got it. You can take that exact checklist, take it over to the person doing the brochure and say, this is what winning looks like. And if they check every box on that list, boom, they've won. You bring that back to the client. Now the client might be like, well, I kind of want this. You can then be like, well, here goes the list that you said is winning. You can, of course, do revisions, but at least you know that it's not this back and forth thing. And I had to learn that with clients and team. So you think, this is the trap, remember, you think that you are now easily handing off a task that someone else can do, and you get to go be in la la land elsewhere, just hanging out, chilling, doing what you care about. But what actually happens is you handed this to somebody, and now instead of you doing that task, you now have to teach them how to do their task to the spec that you need it to, which is a whole nother task in itself. And not only that, you also have to build systems behind that to ensure quality, etc. Because you're at this level, you're doing work at this level, and so you have standards. So it's a trap because you think you got something off your list, but really you've actually doubled, tripled, quadrupled what's on your list. And I did that many times, many times. So what was that's really the like the signal that I had. It's just like I felt overwhelmed. I felt like there was a lot of things just going on. I didn't feel in control. And the more that I built out the team, the more obligations, the more deadlines, the more things I was responsible for. And I just, in all of them, actually weren't the thing that I personally thought was the most important thing in the growth of what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to build out the systems or whatever, but now I'm stuck in all these different places, right? The struggle. So what did I do to, this is chapter 2, the struggle. What did I do to try to, like, alleviate some of the pain? Well, I'm a big systems person, right? I love to code, and Notion is like the coder's best, like the non-coder and coder's best, like, playground, right? It makes it easy for people that don't understand code to build systems, and then for people that understand code, bro, superpower. Just like, it just elevates everything. So I built out systems to help keep track of the task. Like, is the task overdue? I created systems to try to prioritize some of the tasks. I try to create systems around all this stuff. And the truth of the matter is that you can build the systems, but sometimes if people don't use the systems, or even worse, you're like me, you build a system and then you see the next day, you're like, oh, I can add this to the system. You're constantly changing the system. Results may vary as well. And so that was the struggle that I continue to have, was like, I need to get all this stuff done. I thought I was buying back my time. I thought that I was, I thought that I could do a good job. And it turned out I was not a great leader, So now I have to learn how to lead as well on top of this. Leading is being able to say no to certain things, saying yes to certain things, being able to direct. And you're a leader. And you've got to be able to just, if you don't, you are now paying people to do things on your behalf, and they don't have the right direction. You're saying go run, but they're saying what direction, and you're telling them the wrong direction, or they're just running with no direction. And that's on you, right? And then you also have to be able to know what the right direction is. That's part of it. And so I think a lot to do with task management, right? This big thing is knowing what your North Star is. Knowing, like, having that ability to, like, what I felt like is there was fires everywhere, right? And there are always fires around you, just kind of like creeping up, just going up. Some look higher than others. And most people, and this is a lot that I did a lot, was you're trying to throw blankets over all these different little fires, but you're not focused on the biggest fire that's just setting the whole fucking house on fire. And we know that those fires will eventually become bigger fires. We know that. But our job as CEOs, as founders, is to be able to see what the biggest fire is and take care of that and just go straight into it. But when everything is in chaos mode, you're in panic mode, you can't focus, you're all over the place. Very hard to just say, I'm going to let that burn. I'm going to keep on going straight here. And I had a hard time being able to say, I'm going to let that burn. I'm just going to keep on going straight here. So the system that I would use once I kind of got into this, and it has served me pretty well. But I'll tell you, there are a little bit of you'll find yourself at some point, once you have quite a bit of tasks on your list, starting to wonder which is the highest priority. So the system I've used in the past, and I've talked about it several times, is really simple. You have impact and you have ease. Very, very simple. Impact is either high or low impact, and then ease is it easy or hard? And by the way, this is an amazing system by itself. I think you can solve 50% of your problems just by using this. But today's more about nuance and being able to actually get down past further than this. So it kind of comes like this, right? Okay. So you have something come on your desk. Let's say it's someone that says, hey, want to get coffee, okay? You think to yourself, is this high impact or low impact? I mean, if it's a well, maybe it's a high impact, but most likely this is probably going to be low impact, okay? Is it going to make, by the way, you get to define impact. You're like, okay, impact on my business, impact on my sanity, impact on whatever. Impact can be bad too. Like, is this going to blow up my house, right? Like, you can just impact. How big of impact? So it may be actually low, you know? And then how easy is it for me to do this meeting or do this call, right? So they're like, hey, want to link up for coffee on whatever Broadway Street on Thursday? How easy or hard is this? For me personally, it's hard to do any sort of in-person meeting. Like, I got to drive an hour to Asheville, hour back. Then you have the hour or two that you're there. And so that would be a hard. So on that level, there's 4 different levels of the ease and impact, the impact and ease. And I won't get too far deep in this because I want to move on to a maybe better system. But pretty much you're thinking, okay, if it's high impact and it's easy, do it first. If it's high impact and hard, do second. If it's easy and low impact, optional, maybe you do it because it's easy. But if it's low impact and hard, delete it. And that right there, that, hey, want to meet up for coffee? Like, that's a delete. Now, you may judge that a little differently. You're like, I haven't seen my guy Sam in forever, and he means a lot to me. And so the impact of that relationship is high to you. So that still might be high and hard. So you might do that second. If maybe Sam is your coworker, he's like, yo, want to link up for lunch, and you're going to see him in the same place, that might be high impact and easy, and you just do it first. So very easy to take any sort of thing. Let's throw one more out there. Client deadline for a major project, okay? High impact that it can fuck you up. And then you have, like, is it a complicated project? Probably. So it's hard. So you would technically do second within whatever the list of stuff that you have. Now, let's say that you have make a YouTube video, right? For me personally, high impact, very high impact. It goes out to everybody. And then as far as hard or easy, very easy for me to make a YouTube video. Like, extremely easy. So it's a high impact task and it's easy. So boom, there you go. Do that first. And so that served me really well until it didn't, you know, until you have many things on your desk that are high impact and easy. And so you're like, great, I'm just going to do all those. And everything else does not get done. And in a perfect world, that's great. But what I figured out as I was going through this, the struggle is like, you actually, for instance, there's certain things that are obligations that you agreed to. And so if they're low on the list of you doing, you will never get to them. If you're a founder like me or a CEO like me, that's like all these big ideas, these big things that come at you that you're going to work on first no matter what, those things will never get worked on. And by the way, some of those things should not be worked on. They should just be deleted from the list, cleared, done. But there are nuance, there are things, and if those things then become big, those things start to blow up in your face. And that, I feel like a lot of that stuff just blew up in my fucking face. Let's see. Constant task switching and decision fatigue. Yeah. Like, my mental was fucked, bro. It was just, with 80 plus obligations, like deadlines, whatever, things that are just on the list, knowing that they're there, and then knowing that, like, I'm trying to train a team up to be able to do those things, and then knowing that I also have obligations, and then I also have to pay for the house and pay for the bills and all that stuff. Constant task switching, because they all feel important. They all are, pulling at you in some sort of way. They're all like, hey, checking in, bing, 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 checking in, boom, boom. And you're like, fuck. You're like, fuck. God damn, fuck. And that's real. That is life all the time, by the way. Life be doing that. But if you don't have your sanity, your compass, like being able to just navigate, you will get pulled off what's important, and you will not make progress on what's important, like on some real. Okay, so chapter 3, the shift. Okay, the shift. As I built systems, as I went through and built out these systems, and that's the hard part when you're building the boat in the water and you still have everything burning down. You still have to build out the boat, or else you'll never set sail. As I've finally made a little progress on building out systems in Notion, I start being able to. That Duncan be hitting. I started being able to see. I got the data to be able to see tasks as they came in. How long a task has been sitting in. I started to be able to see, like, it was two different things, right? It was emotional toll and it was data. Okay, both of those things had a play on me building out a better system. And so the emotional toll that I was under every single day, like, it was weird because when I looked at my day's end of all the shit that I did, I was proud of myself. I was like, fuck, I did a lot of stuff. Like, I knocked that out, I built this, I got this done, I sent that over, and it was there. And then the message, you check your text messages, you check your email, and it's just a fucking shit ton of more of like need to do and all the things. And so you have this weird contradiction of, I'm doing a great job, I'm doing good, and then you have a burning list that's on fucking fire, that's waiting for tomorrow for you to jump right back in and firefight. So it was that. And I said, I gotta do something differently. I said, I got to do something differently, or else I'm just gonna keep on I would not. So it was that, and I was working like 16-hour days, bro, just non-stop. So it felt good that I got it done, but then I'm missing the kids at home, and the kids are like, where are you at, Dad? Why you fucking up, Dad? What the fuck's going on, Dad? Like, what? And I'm like, you have that guilt, you have that heaviness, because you know that you've not spent enough time today. You know that you have not spent enough time ongoing, right? And so you feel that shit. And so that, and then paired with data, okay? And I want to speak a little bit on data for a second, because I've been a creative at heart, okay? I care about... I care about all the creativity and the design and the beauty and all the shit or whatever, right? But bro, you know what's even more sexier than creative? Data. Data, bro, I did not know. I did not realize how attractive this woman was. Data is like, it clears the bullshit. If you start making charts, or you start logging something each day, or you start tracking something, you now have accountability. Whether you accountable to that chart, you're like, oh fuck, if I don't do that, that line's gonna dip right off the thing. Got it. I want to keep on doing that. Or you can see the spikes up and down, up and down, up and down. Or you can see the consistency where you feel like shit, right? But you see that you went to the gym every single day this week. You hit these things every single week, even though internally you're like, man, I feel like fucking shit. You're like, man, like everyone around you or in your voices in your head are like, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You literally could just look at the chart and be like, yeah, it's objective right there. Like, yeah, I posted 22 pieces of content yesterday. Got it. Today I'm going to do 24. Got it. Like, data gives you what you need to make hard decisions and clear decisions, okay? And so once I started getting real data, it made me realize that a lot of the bullshit that was on me was not actually all the way on me. And I'm very much a person of like thumb, right? It's me. Like I hired you, so it's on me. We got in that argument, it's on me. I came up short on revenue today, that's me. I'm very much just like that because I like that because I could do something with that. It means something. But what data also does when you start holding other people accountable, it shows when they're not actually being accountable. It shows that shit. You don't have to subjectively like, Bob's a great dude, and he's like, you can see the graph. Like, if Bob didn't show up for the gym 7 days in a row, hard to say that Bob did a great job this week. Now, you can be like, well, Bob had this and Bob had that, blah, 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 blah. If you consistently see that Bob's not showing up to the gym, like, it's on Bob. It's not on you motivating Bob to get there. And so once I had that objective data, right, it allowed me to clarify the problems that were, like, it allowed me to understand what I needed to do, okay? And labeling something high impact or low impact or easy or hard, it's a good surface gut check to just kind of not do something. But being able to look at a task and be like, okay, got it. This is what this is where what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to get to, and this is how I go about it. There's just a different level. I highly recommend that today you start just creeping a simple little table. I use Notion, right? It's my favorite. But anything that's important to you, and I'll talk probably more about this in a later video about like tracking stats and stuff, but anything that's important to you, right? For instance, I have a tracker where I track 10 different stats, okay? I'll tell you what they are right now. We'll get into this in another video, but you get to have the choice of what these stats are, okay? I don't have to tell you. No one else has to tell you. They're important to you. Now, there are objective things. Like, so I have 5 for business, and I have 5 for personal. That's how I figured I'd kind of divide it up. Because I'm the type of person where I'd put like 10 stats on the board for business and be like, fuck, my personal life's going to shit. 5 for personal, 5 for business. That way that you're keeping, if your personal turns into shit, your business is going to turn to shit, okay? And if you don't do anything in business, guess what? Your personal is going to turn to shit too. So 5 and 5. Boom. This is not the system, by the way, that we're talking about today, but just a thought real quick. So we track right now, because we're a media business, watch time, subscriber growth. We've got our email list growth. We have revenue from like Patreon or courses, etc. And then we also have, 1 second. We got it. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. We can do this. Stick with me. The stat is, here we go. I got it right here. Watch time. Okay, and content. Content posted. So number of content pieces per day. And then for personal, our core 5 are asset building. How many hours per day? Delivery, like pretty much just the regular work that I'm doing right now, have like the amount of money that I'm doing. Family one-on-one, how many hours per day, and then bills paid, very important. How many bills do we pay today? And then active obligations, right? So those yeses that I said yes to, try to get those to down curve. If you start every single day just writing that number, like it takes maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little more, maybe not. If you start doing that, you have objective truth, okay? And you can do a lot with that. All right, so we're going to talk about the system that I built to, help with all this stuff. So the system. We need to create a good name for this system. We have not deemed the name for the system, but for now we'll just call it what should we call the system? Currently, I call my entire system that I have built out Mosley OS. But this system was built off of a bit of Do It Tomorrow, okay? And Do It Tomorrow is a system based on Mark Forrester's book, Do It Tomorrow. I'll give you the premise of Do It Tomorrow and things that we can pull from this, and then we'll go into, what I altered to benefit my workflow, okay? So, Do It Tomorrow is this premise that many things come at you. So many things come at you every single day. And most people want you to react to that. They don't realize that they're doing it. Some people do. But they don't realize that they're putting requests on your time. So for instance, hey Will, can you pick up the birthday cake? Okay? That is something that now I have to do today. And if you get many of those type of things, hey Will, can you shoot me over that summary of X? If you allow things to come at you today and you react to them today, all of a sudden the things that you were going to do, your intentions, the stuff that you were going to do today, they get blown up because you have a certain amount of hours and time that you can allocate to that. And so the premise behind Do It Tomorrow is extremely simple and powerful. If you don't take anything from my system, this system in itself will give you a bit of your sanity back. The book itself, it's been out for like 13, 14, 15 years now, something like that. I remember reading it like years and years ago. And it's been the best system, best task system that I've found, bar none, like so far. So top notch. And I don't think it's gotten the acknowledgement or praise or whatever that it deserves. Again, we have alterations to the system on the end of this, but let me just explain to you how Do It Tomorrow really works. So what happens is you have 3 lists, okay? You got today, you got tomorrow, you got your backlog, okay? And tomorrow we'll really call inbox, okay? We'll rename tomorrow inbox. So what happens is today, and this is the easy way for you to get started or set up on this, is everything that you were going to do today, just don't do it, okay? Just don't do it, literally. Put everything that's today on tomorrow's list, which is the inbox, okay? Everything that you were gonna do and all the blah blah blah, fuck that for today. Your plate is now clear. You have the whole day to just chill. Like on some real shit, I'm being dead ass. Whole day to just chill. Everything goes to tomorrow, okay? So that list gets built. Now, anything that comes at you today, right now, let's say the birthday cake comes at us. If the birthday is not today, you say, hey Laura, thanks, got it. I'll get started on that. I'll work on that tomorrow. Now, a lot of people don't like this answer. A lot of people, they're like, tomorrow? What do you mean tomorrow? And you just have to hold fast to tomorrow. Once people understand how you're working and that you will get to it tomorrow. Now, if you don't get to it tomorrow, you don't actually, we'll talk about tomorrow. If you don't follow up or do whatever, like, you might have people that are like, well, you said you would do it and then you da-da-da-da-da. Anything that comes at you, it's tomorrow. Now, tomorrow comes, okay? You've had a chill day. Tomorrow comes, you have this huge list in your inbox, the new tab, inbox, of all the things that you're going to do. Now, the thing about this being an inbox is that you get to decide what you do and what you don't do. Everything in your inbox is not important, okay? So you look at it, you go through it, and you say, okay, nope, delete. Nope, delete. That's irrelevant now, delete. okay, that thing, the birthday cake, got it. I need to, that's important. I'm going to move this to my today list, okay? And your today list is a locked list, by the way. It is a hard locked list. You don't add shit to the today list, unless you're processing through the inbox at beginning of day or end of day, depending on how you want to do it. You select those few things, right? You might pick 5 things, 3 things, 2 things, however many things out of the thing, and the rest of the stuff on the list goes to the backlog. Just shoop, backlog, boom. Now your backlog has stuff. Your inbox is clear. There's nothing left in your inbox because you processed through everything. And your today list has your fixed 5 or 10 things that are there, okay? Or it doesn't have to be, 2 things, 1 thing, whatever. Now you go and you get to work. You start doing that stuff and chilling like you usually do. Now, again, what happens? Johnny calls and says, yo, hey, we go ahead and hop on a call real quick? And you say, hey, Johnny, I'm working on these things. I'd love to jump on a call, but I got these things I need to knock out today. Tomorrow's good for me. And Johnny says, but I really would like to do that today. And you're like, I'm sorry about that, Johnny, but I got a long list of stuff that I need to knock out, but I can do tomorrow. Does that work for you? And Johnny's like, okay, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Got it. Boom. Click. And you put Johnny on tomorrow. You do not let Johnny blow your fucking day up. Never. Johnny, you're not doing it. Now, there are times when things make it through. Okay? It's very important that you log this, though, right? Let's say that I get a call from the wife and she's like, yo, Maverick is puffing up. His face is puffing up. Need you to get some medicine for him quick. That is an emergency. A lot of people try to put emergencies on your list that are not emergencies. That's like a true emergency, right? You add it to your today list that's logged, but you log, there's a checkbox that says this was an urgent override. Or you write a note saying whatever. You want to kind of keep an eye on how many urgent overrides you've had for the day, for the week. Because if you have a lot of urgent overrides, it means a lot of people are taking your time. Most things are not emergencies. They don't need to be done as ASAP right now today. And if they do, maybe renegotiate the terms, because those things are fucking your day up. They're stealing your time. They're stealing your energy. They are literally stealing your focus. Everything that's important, they're killing you. So there are true emergencies, and that's what you do with those true emergencies, right? You log it. Let's say the boss is like, I need this right now, do it today. A way to navigate the do it today that has to be done, like let's say, like we said, you're working for an employer. You're probably not, because you're in CEO, so this is probably irrelevant. But let's say that someone's like, I need you to do it today. What you can do is you can buy yourself time. I don't even have this field in my thing anymore because I'm not going to do it. But if you have to have some sort of in between, you could have it do it later kind of tab, right? So you have your today list, but the do it later means that I'll still do it today, but I'm not going to blow it up right now. So for instance, Johnny's like, hey, when I hop on a call right now, and you have no way of actually saying I'm not tomorrow because Johnny's your boss and you got to blah, 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 whatever reason. Instead of you saying yes right now, you're like, hey, I'm actually working on some stuff, but hey, after lunch, in a few hours, 4 p.m., is that good for you? You're able to delay the emergency, okay? You're able to not let them blow up your thing right now because you're in focus mode, and then push it out. That's the way you can handle this. Again, this is all Mark Forrester's book on Do It Tomorrow. You use ChatGPT and it suggests the inbox thing, but it's still the same thing. His thing is like the tomorrow list, but inbox made a little more contextual sense. Okay, cool. That's the system. Each day you clear your list for today. If you didn't clear your list for today, the stuff from today goes back into the inbox and you get to process through again if it goes back on the list or not on the list. You clear your inbox, you look at the backlog and try to add 1 or 2 things from the backlog onto today's list so that a little bit of the backlog gets done. The backlog's going to forever grow. It's okay. My alteration to this system. Okay, so this is like chapter, I don't even know what chapter we're on now, but Will's alteration to the, we'll call it the obligation deadline leverage system. Well, actually, we'll call it the leverage system. So here's what's interesting about the Do It Tomorrow system. Now that I've preached all about it, and you're like, I'm going to put that shit into place, I'm going to note one flaw to the system, okay? The system rewards you on, one, not letting people blow up your day, which is great, and you processing through things that come at you every day, great, and you backlogging things and saying they're not that important. What I realized after putting this in place again is that there aren't that many important things. Like, there are important things, but here's the thing. There are ongoing things, and then there's one-offs, okay? In the client world, you got a one-off client or you have an ongoing client. And typically, if something is ongoing, it's much more important than a one-off, okay? And so and again, haven't made this video yet, there are certain things that will push your needle forward, okay? Before you allow any of this BS to come at you, all the deadlines, all the bullshit, there's actually something that you can do to push your needle forward. I don't know what your business is, what you're doing, blah, 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 but if you were to track your stats, like I told you in the middle of this, the 10 stats, when you wake up and you have your focus block of 2 to 4 hours a day, which I highly recommend, you're working on that stuff. Like, that stuff is actually going to move the needle forward. You said that these things are the most important thing in your life. You should only be working on that stuff. Now, I realize that the world is not kind to just doing all focus work all the time, which is why the alteration to the system comes into play. So I say you do your focus work, 4 hours of it each day. That's all the stuff that are going to move those metrics up that we talked about. This has nothing to do with all the other obligations and stuff that we are now about to talk about. That comes at you that you kind of can't ignore. So with the leverage system, you have 3 different things. And these are a list of 3 things. So you have your obligations / really you have 2 lists, okay? We'll just call it 2 lists. You have your obligations and deadlines. They're all just kind of sitting there. Just all right there. Everything that you said yes to in the past, you can't get out of it. You can clear this. You could, theoretically, but those are promises that you made. So this is a much simpler list. This is not the Do It Tomorrow system, but it was bred from me realizing all the things the busyness that I was doing. So you have 2 lists. The obligations / deadlines. Anything that's a deadline, like tomorrow is a graduation for me. That's a deadline. I've promised that I'd give recommendations on other freelancers now that I'm out of out of that business. I've said all those things, which is why you should be very careful what you say yes to, because now that gets added to the obligation list. Then you have the other list, which is everything else that is not a deadline or an obligation. Okay? All your big crazy ideas, all the kind of maybes, can you do that, but you gave no promises, whatever. All that huge list, we're going to let that list stack. We're going to let it stack and stack and stack and stack. We're not going to be reactive to this list. That list is just chilling, okay? Now, with our Mosley leverage system, we want to dedicate maybe about an hour a day to the leverage system. Because we're already focused on the biggest things, right? Those things that are going to push our business forward, those 10 stats that we're trying to just move forward, that's 4 hours. This one's an hour. If you have any obligations or deadlines that you have to hit, this is when you do this stuff. You just do it. You just knock it out. You try not to add any more obligations to your list. You try not to promise any more deadlines. You try to get this list as low as possible. Now, what happens when you run out of obligations and deadlines, which is amazing, right? You're clear from other people's demands. Now, there's this big list, hairy list of all these different things you could do, but have not done. And you've just said no to them because you're trying to stay focused. I'd like to think that every 100 items on this list, I want to pick maybe one. Everything else does not get selected. It gets either deleted or just not selected. But what I'm looking for is, if I only have 1 hour a day to focus on something that's high leverage, why would I pick something so small? Why would I not go for the big boy thing? The thing that is going to literally make 10 of these irrelevant, 100 of these irrelevant. Why would I not go for the 100x leverage? Okay? Why would I not do that? So instead of you reacting to everybody's little demands, beep, beep, boop, 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 you now have a long list of options, opportunities that you could do. Also yourself, all these different ideas, boop, 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 boop. And you look at the 100 of them, and you say, which one will give me 100x impact? 100x leverage, right? Which one, if I do this, it makes all of this irrelevant? Once you do that, you get to pick that one thing. All the rest of them are now disqualified. You're not going to do them. Done. That then gets put on your list. That then gets put on your list. And all of a sudden, you just work through that. You have an hour a day. You have 30 hours out of the month where you just work on that. That's it. And you work until it's done. Now, will other obligations and deadlines come at you? Yes. You do that first. You'd even call it obligation hour, but I don't want to deem it obligation hour because then it makes it feel as though we always have to do other obligations for everybody else. Leverage hour is much better because the goal is to get to leverage. And all of a sudden, if we think about the whole do it tomorrow system, the do it tomorrow system was like a blocker of everybody just throwing stuff at you. This is like a blocker times 100. You have current obligations, we'll work through those, we'll get them done, we'll knock them out. But after that, I'm just working on the biggest leverage thing that I can, the highest leverage. Let's say you finish that task, you finally finish that project. We'll call it a project, it's probably a project. Then you allow them to stack up to another 100. Or you might have already had 100 that have stacked by the time you're finished with that project, probably so. And you pick the next 100x or 1,000x. And you work on that one. And that's leverage on time. You're using your time well. You're not allowing other people to abuse and use your time. That's what I want to share with you guys today. That's the system. I hope you got value out of this. I hope that it inspires you to clear the mess that is in your head, on your to-do, all the stuff, all the things that people have cast on you. You got to take back that control and regain your focus. The biggest takeaway from this, truly, if you don't do anything, is start tracking the top 10 stats, the things that are important to you, and give yourself 4 hours a day, first thing, to just do that stuff, nothing else. Everything else, you'll make it happen, you'll figure it out. But we got to push these needles forward. All right, till next time, take care. Peace.